Oh yeah, and then PJ, if you would, if there's any AI things, don't, we won't let those in. All right, welcome everybody. Welcome, good to see you. Vanessa, I see you. Where in the
Hey,
world are
Scott.
you located at today?
Oh, camping and fishing through the Florida Keys.
Florida
Trying to
Keys.
keep it
How else you
warm.
get
Yeah.
around? Alaska, Florida, all over the place. Good to see you. Oh, little still connecting to audio. Hey, Rick. Good to see you, Rick.
Yeah, good to see you, Scott.
See some familiar faces. All right, so just real quick to kind of introduce the team here. So we've got a few team members on with us. PJ's in the background. He'll be helping us with crowd control and getting people in and anything that's needed technologically. I can't speak. Tech wise, there'll be PJ for us. Good to see you, Mark. Good to see you, JR. We got a couple Marks. Susanna, good to see you again. Sandra, Dr. J. Wait, Daniel, is it Dr. J? I got it wrong. What is it?
Mr. J.
Mr. J. Mr. J.
I don't got a
your
PhD.
status went higher in my mind.
I mean, that's all right. You want to promote me? That's cool.
Yeah, that's cool. All right, and then of course my lovely wife Tanya and partner in crime, ride or die, high school sweetheart. She's here to help. Is Brian with us yet? I'm not seeing Brian. Brian's gonna MC for us and handle questions. Deb, good to see you. All right, and then there's some new faces I don't recognize, and I hope to get to know everybody. Mike, good to see you. All right. There may be some more people coming in, but let's start with an icebreaker. So, in case you don't know exactly what you're showing up to here, you're all business owners, I assume. And what we do at Awaken Life and with the Business Freedom Forum is we help business owners to scale, especially typically profitable business owners who are looking to scale. They're stuck and looking to scale, and stuck could be there's a financial holding you back. There could be assessments and record keeping that's holding you back. Could be team and systems, but for whatever reason, typically the people that we help the best, they might be frustrated that the business is kind of running them instead of the other way around. And what we desire to do with the Business Freedom Forum, with the people that we work with, is help you get unstuck. Because at the end of the day, it's about family and living out your purpose and the things that are most important to you. Maybe even they're more like hobbies, but whatever the things are that are important to you that are bringing fulfillment to your life, we don't want our business to hold us back. We want our business to empower us on that. So that's what it's all about. Let me just do a quick check here. I don't see Brian. Is Brian missing? Tanya, do you see Brian?
I am looking.
Okay. We can roll without him. I see Brian Heflin. Hey, Brian. Not the guy I was looking for, but good to see you again. All right. Oh, Roger Shipman. I haven't seen you in forever. How you doing, man?
I'm doing all right.
Still in the Portland area?
Still in this 23 years in the same place. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, we still have people trickling in, and I want to do an icebreaker. You guys are all business owners. We are a community. I consider us a community, a group of brothers and sisters. We're here to support each other. I mean, it's a hard world out there. There's lots of stuff going on, right? I think that it's helpful to link arms and be in community with like-minded people. So I'll just let you let yourself off the bus if you're if you're not interested in being an entrepreneur or a business owner or making your business go to the next level, if you're not purpose focused, if you're not trying to live out a higher calling on the planet while you're here with your business, if you're not trying to, get work-life balance and free up your time to spend more time with, the people that matter to you most, then maybe this isn't the place for you. This isn't the community for you. But if you do resonate with those things, then I want to say welcome. Let's link arms. Let's support each other. Let's get in community, and let's start with some icebreaker. Let's get to know each other. I want you guys to have opportunity to network, to get to meet each other outside. This isn't a networking event, by the way, but I do know that there are people on this call that don't know each other, that need to know each other. So make note of who you want to reach out to. You can even message each other, but get some networking done outside the event. Set some time up with people that you resonate with, and take advantage of that. But for here, I just want to kind of get to know each other and give you a chance to share a bit. So icebreaker is just simply what's been a big win in the first couple months here of the new year. We're kind of in that place where we are thinking big with new goals, 2024 goals, objectives. What are the things we're going to talk about that today? But what are the things that are winning for you? What start with positive messaging. So who wants to go? Just shout out, just everybody's, by the way, I appreciate everybody being on mute, self-monitoring the background noise. It's great and very helpful. But go ahead and unmute yourself and chime in. What's been a big win for you?
Well, this is Mike. I sold my car this week that had 313,000 miles on it.
Congrats.
Yeah, because I'm moving across the country, so that was a big deal for me.
That's right. One of your big goals for this, at least the first half of this year, is to make that move happen. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Awesome. Who else?
I can go.
Hey
Cool.
Scott, it's Brian
Are
Heflin
we-
over here.
All right, let's go Vanessa and then Brian.
We can do the raise hand thing too, but published a first collaborative book, which
No
a lot of
way.
family and people, negative Nellies, are like, "Why are you writing a book? And this is so stupid." And I'm like, you know what? I'm just tuning all that out. So it's all about loving yourself and loving
Michelle,
others.
Get it on the full
Oh.
camera.
Oh, I can't with my little, yeah.
Oh. It's blocking you.
I love me because, and I love you because. So it's all about self-love and positivity and positive vibes and positive mindsets, because there's so much negativity in the world. So yeah,
Love it.
it got done beginning of January 2024. And I'm like, we're already on Amazon bestseller for some stuff. Well, that wasn't even the plan. And it's amazing. But yeah, follow your
Huge
dreams.
win.
Vanessa,
Right.
put a link in the chat if you want.
Yeah, and also Vanessa, you have a podcast, right? You do the van life. You're currently in Florida, but
Yeah.
last time I saw you were in Alaska. But how's the podcast
Yeah.
going?
Good. I work at a nomadic pace, is what I say, because my life is very nomadic. So I might not have Wi-Fi all the time. There's no regularity. It's a lot of spontaneity in my world. So the van life is more just consulting as we come across people that dream about it. And I hear the same thing over and over. Oh, I wish I had a van. I'd love to do that. And I'm like, what's holding you back? So that's one side. And then the military side is just helping military spouses bloom wherever they're planted, transitioning after retirement, and helping also veterans with their VA disability claims. So yeah, a little of everything, but I work at a slower pace because I'm on and off grid.
Awesome. All right, Brian Heflin, you're up.
Yeah,
Been
you
your
should have
win.
let me go first. How do I follow that?
Hey,
kidding me?
sorry, buddy.
New author, freaking podcaster, van life. I mean, that's what I'm talking about. I was just
We all start at zero, Brian, and I'm still there. We all start at zero. I just read somewhere.
Oh my goodness! Congratulations, that's fantastic to hear. No, win for us. A brand new business owner, right? Business hasn't even been born for more than 6 months at this point, but hired a marketing company to help me fine tune my messaging, and they're getting me in the doors of some pretty exciting opportunities. Really good group of guys that I'm working with. So super jazzed about what 2024 is gonna bring.
Yeah, and you do something where you're able to save people money, right? That's what your business model.
Yeah, yes and no. I mean, and so we help make buying technology easier. So in the internet, VoIP, cybersecurity, AI space. And so if you're in somebody who makes those decisions, if you enjoy working with vendors and you enjoy dealing with salespeople, I'm not your guy to help you, right? So I'm a broker in that space. I've got 350 different suppliers that I can work with, engineers and everything. Let me take that on for you, right? And bring the best suppliers to you so you don't have to. So yeah, but if you love working with salespeople, man, I'm not your guy. I can't help you.
Yeah, the worst sales guy ever.
So
All
speaking
right,
of worst sales guy ever, I guess I'll go next.
go ahead.
So I just made the transition. I was doing brand strategy and design last year. At the end of 2023, I got kind of caught up in the sales world. I've been doing sales for a long time, but I stepped out of it professionally. But I noticed a huge gap. I was doing business blueprint, as you know, Scott, and I'm still there. And teaching sales and sales strategy and how to close more deals became a really amazing kind of transition. And so I'm in the process of starting my new brand. It's going to be called the Sovereign Company by Mr. J. And what I do is I act as a fractional sales lead for your company to increase revenue or increase conversion rates for your in-house team of salespeople. And we make sure that you kind of hit your goals and get you there. And I'm not gouging your pocket because I'm not coming on full time, act fractionally, and then you still get to have all that benefit. One of the biggest victories for me, and this is the fastest, ironically enough, and I probably should have been doing sales this entire time, the fastest I've ever grown a brand. I haven't even officially started. I'm still running things through my old company, Mr. J Studios, but I'm about to actually today going through the bid and the proposal for my largest client, which is probably going to net me about 60K over the next year. That's only one deal. So I still have 4 more to go, and my goal here is to make 250K by the end of 2024 and move
Nice,
out to
love it.
Loveland and enjoy life. And yeah, I took a huge step back. I used to be working 80, 90 hours a week, and now I'm like, I'll do like 20, 30 and still make my 6 figures, and kind of do whatever I want. So yeah.
Good for you. That's awesome. Well,
Another couple.
hopefully, some of the presentation today will help clarify your goals and give you some more fuel for your momentum. That would be my hope for today, for most of you, actually.
I
Who
have a-
else? I think Roger. Go ahead, Roger.
Yeah. Well, about 5 years ago, I had a couple car accidents that brought my life to a screeching halt. And so I had to change careers and became an editor and help people edit books. But I was able to work about 4 hours a month. And in August, I went to a clinic down in Utah that restored almost all my abilities, and I feel about 25 years younger. And so now I'm able to work about 75 hours a week, which is a big difference from 4 a month.
Okay.
And so in this last few weeks, I needed to learn a new technology. So I learned how to build a website from scratch. And so now with that practice, I plan to do my own. And so this year, I'm hoping to actually turn this into I've been limping along for about 5 years, but this year I hope to turn it into something that.
Starting route 29 Railroad Street.
That's awesome. I'm curious about the clinic. I'll have to follow up with you, and I'll touch base with you soon. I'd love to hear about that.
Okay.
Congratulations. That's huge. That's huge. All right. Time for one more. By the way, Brian Veeder, that was the other guy I mentioned who's on our team. He's going to be handling question and answer, responding to the chat stuff, monitoring that for us. So feel free to ask questions. We're going to have time for a Q&A at the end, and we're going to have so kind of how this works is, we're kind of getting to know each other a little bit. I'll give you a presentation about 30 minutes. And then at the end, we'll be wrapped up by 10:30 Pacific time. Convert that to your time zone, but 90 minutes total. So the end portion will be about, we'll do one of you at least will do a hot seat, because part of why we're here is is for me to demonstrate what a CEO mastermind looks like. So this is kind of like a taste of mastermind, a mini forum. So some of you haven't ever been in one of those experiences before, so I want to demonstrate that with a hot seat. So somebody's going to be brave enough to jump into the hot seat. We're all going to like work on your issue or your opportunity, and that's a really cool part of it. That's after the presentation, and then we'll have some time for like sharing and takeaways at the end. So that's the agenda for today. All right, well, time for one more. Who has a huge win that you just have to share from since the beginning of this year? What's been good? Everybody's too humble to share. All right, here we go. Samantha, thanks for stepping up. Go ahead.
Hi, I am just excited. I just started my new digital marketing business, and that was a big jump, and it's already becoming a big win just from learning opportunities and growing so much. So that would be mine.
Congratulations, that's awesome. So this is your first go at entrepreneurship?
Yeah, I did freelance here and there, and then I finally decided that 2024 was the year to take the jump and do it full time. So yeah, we're all about helping businesses and finding solutions to get your time back. So
awesome.
Hey, Scott,
Congratulations.
Steve Birch, I think, had one to share as well.
Awesome.
Steve?
Go ahead, Steve.
I'll just be super fast. Scott and I have talked a lot. There's on the wheel of success, it's everything from physical, spiritual, financial, you name it. 6 months ago, I was like, I'm going to lose some weight. So I've dropped about 25 pounds. Pretty happy about that. And then with the market having a good day, I'm a financial advisor. And so today's my highest assets under management since I've been in the business. So rah. And other than that, take the floor.
Yeah, way to go, Steve. I know that that's been a big goal you committed to. What was it? Not shaving. Well, there was something that you were going to do that was a visual representation of your goal setting.
Yeah, so I used to just have a little hair right in the face. And then I thought, well, I'm just going to let it grow out until I hit my goal. The reality is I meet with people all the time, and I started to look, I don't know, maybe a little rough around the edges. So I did trim it. And then to Scott's point, I was going to go back to just the little goatee type thing. But I decided now do that when I break below 180. And when you started at 210-ish, getting to 180 is a pretty big deal. So I'm 5 pounds away. And I thought, yeah, I'll just wait until I hit this. So it's just that, for those of us that maybe don't want to grow hair or can't, I would promote writing goals on a mirror with a Sharpie or whatever, and just have it in front of you,
Awesome. All right, well, let's transition into, I'm here to give value, and I'm honored that you guys are here. I'm not going to share anything that you haven't heard before. Hopefully it's something that sparks a reminder that of best practices for your business. I hope that my sincere hope is that you get something today that really helps you. Like, I would love it if it just like gave you this like trajectory, shoot to the moon inspiration today. That's setting the bar high. If it gives you a reminder about, oh yeah, I did say I wanted to do that, I did commit to that, and I need to get back on the horse with that. If that happens, that's great. That's my hope. We'll see how I do here. I've got a presentation that I've given many times before, and we'll spend about the next 20-30 minutes going through that. If there's any questions along the way or any comments, you can feel free to unmute and jump in. But and then the chat, of course, we got Brian managing the chat. All right, let me share the screen here. Oh boy, and as I do that, I lose track of who's with me, so I can't see you anymore. So I'm glad I've got a team to help with this. But I used to call this, and you saw that the event was called Double Your Results in 90 Days. So that's something we definitely believe we can do. We can double your results in 90 days. A lot of times we're doubling income in 90 days, doubling take home in 90 days, doubling your free time with your family in 90 days. That is up to you as far as what is possible to double. I think when you use the principles in this presentation, it's certainly possible. If you've been thinking smaller than that, I want to challenge you to think bigger. But there's a reason why a lot of times people aren't successful. There's according to an Inc.com, citing some research done by the University of Scranton, it says 92% of people don't achieve their goals. 92%. So, I'm not a math magician, but that means 8% of us actually achieve their goals. Did I get that right? Correct me if I'm wrong. Today, I intend to kind of help, if the odds are stacked against us, right? When it comes to achieving goals, for whatever reason, we get derailed, we get distracted, we get off course. To increase that percentage, I want to make a stab at helping in the trend of not achieving goals. So I'm excited to share with you today just some powerful strategies that's going to help you maximize your results and unleash your full potential. That's what we're talking about today. I'm hearing some background. Was there any questions, any comments, any additions? All right, we're good. All right, well, so get ready to take notes. If you don't already, get a pen, grab your journal, your piece of paper. I want to have you take some notes and get some takeaways. We're going to share takeaways at the end, so that'll help you with that. But I really, again, I hope that something today will spark something powerful for you. All right, so
are you sharing your screen? Did you say you can't see us because you're sharing, but
I am sharing my screen, and I thought, am I not?
No,
Well,
nothing.
thanks, Sandra, for the heads up. Thank you so much. Here we go. We'll fix that. And there we go. See, that's why I gotta have my friends with me. Thank you,
That
Sandra.
did it.
Got my back. Thanks. Can always count on you. All right. Now we're sharing the screen. Well, the good news is you haven't missed anything but the title screen. So, hey, right on point. All right. So before we jump into, the note taking and all that, and wow, by the way, now I can actually see you guys again. Here you are on my screen again. That's great. Technology. I love it when it works. All right. So look at this list. Do you identify with anything on this list? Or maybe one or two of the things on this list. This is the top 10 reasons why people fail to meet their goals, according to Goldcast there. I know I've had trouble with a few of these, it could be the goal's not specific enough. You're having doubts about the ability to achieve the goal. That imposter syndrome. I'm definitely dealing with it today and all the time, right? So the belief, right? The belief that I can do it. Goals that aren't motivating, or I would say aligned to who I am, to my purpose. We'll talk about alignment a little bit today. Lack of commitment, or maybe it's lack of accountability. That seems to be a challenge quite a bit. When we are, I'm one of these, right? I'm one of these business owners. You might relate, who I'm sort of the business owners that we tend to work with. They're kind of their own worst enemy. They're kind of the bottleneck. They're kind of the reason that the team's messed up. It kind of all falls on the business owner, right? And what we like to do with these kind of community events and mini forums and mastermind groups is bring accountability so that you can stop being your own worst enemy. Could be hard to focus, could be given up too soon. These are just the kind of things that we've been helping with people with for the past 10 years. Tanya and I, for sure. Brian's been with us for over a year now, and that's what we do. That's what I want to share with you, the best strategies that I've learned to achieve big things much quicker than you think you can. So that's
$650 period. Thank you, period.
All right. And PJ, you're controlling the mutes and stuff, right?
Yeah, got it.
All right, so let's jump into it. The first thing, how to maximize your results. I'm going to give you 4 things if you're going to take notes. The first one is strategic planning. Everybody's heard of strategic planning, but it starts with defining your vision. And this is really key. I heard Brian Tracy say this when I started my entrepreneurial journey back in 2001, when I didn't even know what goals were. One of the first things I heard Brian Tracy says was get a clear mental picture, And we're going to think 90 days out. There's a lot of science about human behavior and human motivation and the ability for a team or an organization to carry out goals. in 90-day increments, it's the perfect time frame that you can really accelerate towards a 90-day goal, and you sort of lose steam around that 90 days. So it's another chance to pull on that flywheel and keep the momentum going. We have, by the way, a 13-week, we call it the Power Journal. This is a 13-week goal planning system. It's got 13 tabs for 13 weeks. It has your 90-day goals on it. I keep it on my desk every day. The people we work with are showing up to that tool every single day. But when you get a clear mental picture of where you're going to be 90 days out, and then we'll talk about the process of achievement through that. But it starts with that vision. Define the vision. Why is it essential? Why does it have to be a must? Earlier this week, Brian and I were on a mastermind group, and we were working with the group members, and we were going through a process of seeing what happens if I don't make this change, and feeling the pain of if I don't make this change, if I don't get serious about my goals right now, and things just keep going the way they're going, kind of trickling along. If you extend that past 90 days, if you extend that out a year, if you extend that out 5-10 years, and get a mental picture of what it would be like to not achieve goals, you start to feel the pain of that. Like, no, I can't deal with that. That would not be okay. Like, it kind of hurts today, but if it keeps going, it's going to really hurt. So get a clear mental picture of what it would be like if you didn't achieve the goal. Feel that and get the distaste of that, and then flip that and say, okay, what if I absolutely just made it a must? If it became essential, if I just burned the boats and I take that shore, how would that feel? And so define that over the next 90 days, or it could be by the end of this year, but something that's kind of in a time frame that you can look at. We want SMART goals. We want specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, time bound. There's different ways of looking at those SMART goals, the acronym, but it needs to have some clarity, right? When there's no vision, the people perish, right? So we gotta have clear vision. Anybody commenting on that? Anything to jump in there with, Brian?
No questions or anything in the chat yet, Scott.
All right, cool. All right, so kind of I want to show you how we kind of do this process of getting a clear vision and then breaking it down, and kind of what the philosophy of Awakened Life is. We use this, what we call the alignment operating system. And essentially, we're talking about goals here today. We're talking about getting a clear goal, getting a vision of where you want to go in 90 days or by the end of this year. And what we want to do is make sure that those, that those goals are connected to a purpose. Because at the end of the day, it's your daily habits and your routines, the things that you do every day. Whether you're, like Steve mentioned, he's lost all this weight. He's doing something every day that has over time accumulated to that massive result, that huge success. The daily habits are what do it, right? But we want to make sure that our goals are in line with our purpose, so that our daily habits are in line with our purpose. This requires some kind of strategic thinking down the road a ways. You're not necessarily thinking about your purpose minute by minute, but if you know that you've already done the work to identify what are the daily habits that I need to do, that by doing them each day will add up over time, the compounding effect to accomplishing an amazing purpose throughout my life, my time on this planet, right? That's what we like to call, being awake, being fully conscious and awake to your life's purpose is, really making sure that every moment counts towards it, right? Being fully conscious, being fully aware, being fully intentional. That's why we call it Awakened Life here. And just real quick, one of the things that we want to make sure of is, I love this quote from Tony Robbins: "Success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure." Who's heard of that, right? I love that quote from Tony Robbins. So one thing that we came away with when we went to a Tony Robbins event, we were like, okay, yeah, that was the problem that we had in our life. We set goals that weren't aligned to our purpose, and we actually ended up losing everything. Tanya and I, back in 08, 09, we had all these properties that went into foreclosure and short sale, and we ended up having a lawsuit, and we had to file bankruptcy. We had like ultimate failure after achieving goals that weren't aligned to who we were. And so we came away with this idea, like what we really learned from that whole painful process was the 4 pillars of fulfillment. And these kind of stack on each other, right? It starts with vitality. If you don't have your health and vitality, your energy, like Roger was saying, he's found a younger version of himself. That's vitality. Now he's able to do more. You're able to contribute more to your relationships. You're able to have more higher quality relationships. You're able to be more intentional about your relationships. And then it's all about having freedom, right? Freedom to do what? Freedom to live out a life of purpose, to make a big impact in something that's really near and dear to your heart. That's what fulfillment's about. So if you can set goals that are in line with your purpose, and make sure you're watching these 4 pillars, that's kind of what we like to call the alignment operating system. So, it starts with the who you are. Core values are kind of answer who you are. And, if you can answer who you are and why you're here and what you're all about, that's essentially what strategic planning is, making sure everything is in alignment with that. From there, you can just put your goals and objectives in alignment with that, and then now you're just like, okay, what are my weekly milestones and the daily actions and habits that I need to do to make it happen? So that's kind of a broad stroke overview of the alignment operating system. And if you follow a system, right? System stands for saving yourself time, energy, and money. It's much easier to manage a system than it is to manage a person, right? Or a team. Human beings are kind of hard to manage, but if you put them into a system and you manage that system, they kind of work within the system. Do that for yourself. Again, us business owners are kind of the problem, right? The reason that you don't have what you've been trying to accomplish is you. If you will take responsibility and ownership of that, if you will look in the mirror and say, what is it about me? Like, there's all sorts of stuff happening with the economy.
Can we all say amen?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I know I'm not the only one. Thank you, Sandra. But yeah, looking in the mirror and saying, what, I'm not getting the results I want. What is out of alignment? The alignment operating system will help you figure that out. All right, so from there, then it's just breaking it down. I like to call it a GPS, a goal planning system, right? If you can put it into a goal planning system, it acts like a GPS, so that, I'm an overuser of a GPS. Like I used to, before GPS technology, I used to have a good sense of direction. I've used it as a crutch maybe, but I use the GPS every time because I just want to know, like, there's 3-4 different ways to get from A to B, and this thing monitors traffic and it's dynamic and it can reroute me. I feel like that's a fantastic strategy to get where I want to go in a better time. And ensure that I get there, and to have predictability, to have KPIs to say, okay, it says I'm going to be there in 8 minutes if I follow this path. But if I follow that path, it's 15 minutes. I want to know these things. Forward-looking indicators are helpful, right? So
Yeah.
if we go ahead, Brian.
I even use GPS, Scott, even when I know where I'm going, just to have that estimate of time, like an ETA. And in business, we all want to get there faster, right? So I think to have our finger on the pulse of time to target in business is really important too.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Anybody else use the GPS even when they know where they're going? I definitely do almost every time. But anybody else have a comment here?
See if I should take a different route.
Right. Yep. Who is that? I didn't see who that was.
It was Jake Strack.
Jake.
Hey, Jake, cool.
Hey, Scott, while we're kind of conversing a little bit here, Vanessa's got a question in the chat of, speaking of systems, what's the deal with AI? She would like an AI assistant to help manage business emails, book orders, lots of conflict, fine line, relying too much on AI. So you have any comments you'd like to share on not wasting time, like scrolling emails and doing non-income generating activities? I presume, Vanessa, you're thinking of deploying AI in some areas that maybe could make you more efficient. Is that fair to say?
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not the expert on AI. I use it every single day, and I've, over the last year learned how to use it quite a bit. I bet you there's somebody else on this group that is proficient. And who raise your hand, raise your virtual hand, or your real hand, if you know how to put instructions into AI that spits out a system that you can just now you've got a system that you can repeat the process over and over again. I think that's what Vanessa's looking for, right? Anybody on the
So
call?
Vanessa, go ahead and reach out to me sidebar, right? And let's chat.
Okay.
I too am not the expert, but like I said in my intro, I've got suppliers who are. I'm actually working with a client now to adopt AI for their business, for chat bots to be more conversational and be able to help customers on and increase their level of customer experience. So not to say that that would be the solution for you, but we can, have a deeper dive, if you will, and see what supplier out there is doing what you're looking for. Because to ask about AI is like asking transportation, not even automobile. You're just saying, I'm looking for better transportation. Well, I mean, we're talking public, private, air, water, sea, right? AI, it's so
That's a good
so
illustration.
massive, right? So it's a whole sidebar conversation.
Thank you.
Yeah, we could spend a whole couple hour workshop on AI, right? But yeah, it's an
Deb, did you
important
have anything you
question.
want to share? No, okay. And Scott, Michael Sharp just mentioned that the possibility of simply adding a real human VA as well that might be able to take some of that burden too. So that's always a good option to think about.
Fantastic.
Yeah, we use virtual VAs all over, like we have for years. Scott and I have for our businesses, and there is I think you have to be very careful with AI. Scott is proficient with AI. He's being very humble right now. But I think you need kind of both, in my opinion, because especially if your business is relational, there's, like we have kids in high school and they're using AI and they're getting caught. And I think as a business owner, I don't want to work with somebody that proclaims they're an expert and then everything comes from AI, like doing the, tasks that are, not so meaningful, that aren't gonna, that I think that's okay. But I think as a society, we have to be really careful as business owners, because like there's a site you can go into and see if somebody put it in AI. And I actually do that with businesses to check my work. But for different things, I think it works well. But virtual VAs are awesome. We've used them for, gosh, what do you think, babe? Like 12 years, like we've been using. We've had in-house, we've had virtual. I think it's great to get somebody in a different time zone, especially like we work in multiple time zones. So it's really helped us in that aspect too, especially if you're traveling, because we traveled all over Europe and ran our business. And we had our VAs in the US on US time, and then we were on, the opposite time. So it was awesome. So anyway, that's my sidebar on that. I could spend an hour on it, but I won't. But anyway, back to you, Scott.
I love
All
that.
right,
Thank
so
you.
real quick, if this strategic planning process is something that you want to dive deeper in, we do a quarterly event. The last one was in December 28th. I think one or two of you were there. The next one is March 28th at 4. If you're interested in that and you can't find it with a quick search on LinkedIn, it's event on LinkedIn already on our company page. Anything that you have questions on today, you can email team@awakenedlife.com. PJ, if you wouldn't mind putting that in the chat. So any questions, anything you need, follow up, team@awakenedlife.com. But I want to make sure that, and that's a free event as well. We'll do that process on March 28th at 4 Pacific. All right, so let's get back to the presentation here. So finishing up with strategic planning, it's the next step, obviously, with kind of that idea of like the GPS, right? Measurement and accountability. And this, I cannot emphasize this enough, because this is what we need. This is what we're missing. I'm the first client here, right? I know that you need this because I need this. Without clear metrics, without, show me what I'm measured by and I'll show you what I'll get done, right? There's that old adage, what gets measured gets done, right? So having metrics and measurement is super important. We have something here. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick. We have something that we call the trimetric tracking system. I can't get it. But we're measuring everything for our clients. And when you have measurement and you're measuring, CEO performance, leadership performance and growth, you're measuring the business metrics, business optimization, the financial health of the business, when you're measuring your work-life balance, this triplicate of view, of dashboard of how you're doing as a business owner is so important. And then knowing what is going on is one thing, having accountability to do it, to stop being your own worst enemy. The reason that I created this 13-week power journal is to have a GPS for my life and my business, right? To be on track with my daily habits and my goals. But it's useless if I don't have somebody besides myself holding me accountable to getting this done. I have coaches, I have mentors, I have mastermind groups, I have you guys, right? Let's hold each other accountable. Like I said, I mean, there's lots of stuff going on in the world. I want to link arms with like-minded people who are like saying, hey, how are you doing on your daily goals and your habits? Are you off track? Are you in alignment with your purpose? I want to be called out. I want to be in a community who is focused on holding each other accountable. Accountability is not a bad word. It's a fantastic word. It's your necessary structure that's going to help you get where you want to go. If you don't have accountability, you nobody has perfect willpower, right? Accountability is the kind of the thing that humans need to not be their own worst enemy. All right, so make sure you get that. All right, number 2, to maximize your results. Number 1 is strategic planning. Number 2, power of focus. So the 80-20 rule. Again, I told you, you're not going to hear anything you haven't heard before, right? The 80-20 rule is about identifying what are the few things that give me the biggest output. It's physics, right? It's leverage. If I pull this lever arm and I can get a bigger output, then that's just smart, right? It's just, work smarter, not harder. So what are the few things that create the biggest output? And then also, what are the bunch of things that are creating the tyranny of the urgent? I was talking to a business owner yesterday, and he's just like, I relate, right? We're all this, right? But when we get into the tyranny of the urgent, we are absolutely in a place where we can't stop being our own worst enemy. And we need somebody to come alongside and say, okay, you got a whole list of things that you maybe should just not focus on. Here's the one thing, the one thing. In fact, you can go the critical few, you can go the one thing. What's the one thing? There's a book called The One Thing, and it has the focusing question. I think the author calls it, what's the one thing such by doing it that everything else falls into place? If you can identify what the one thing is for your day today, like if you don't do anything else today, but you do one thing, you accomplish one thing, and it's so important that everything else falls into place, that's an accomplished day. If you think about what's the one thing I can do this weekend that would make all the difference as a parent. If you're a parent and you're like, what's the one thing I could do to make the biggest difference over this weekend as a parent for my kids? What's the one thing I could do if you're a spouse? What's the one thing I can do that makes everything else fall into place with my spouse this weekend? What's the one thing for my business? So the one thing, that asking that question is so powerful, and it'll help you, stay out of the tyranny of the urgent and focus on the things that are going to make things move forward as fast as possible and most efficiently as possible, right? Work smarter, not harder. Anything going on there, Brian? Anything commenting on?
Just a couple of amusing comments. So I like Jake's input. So
okay,
finding the way to efficiency is to get a lazy person to do it. So they'll show you the way.
Yeah. Nice. All right, number 3, continuous learning and improvement. You guys know this. That's why you're here. You're like, okay, yeah. I mean, I'll probably learn a little something today. I'm going to show up and see if there's one little thing, one little spark, one little piece of motivation that helps me get there. Continuous learning and improvement. So you guys are here. I'm preaching to the choir here, but invest in yourself, right? I have a college degree. But I've learned so much more in what some people call car university. I mean, I've learned way more that's helped me make money, that's helped me improve my relationships outside of my structured education, right? My whole 12 years of school, and then took me 5 years to get a 4-year degree after that, right? When I was about in my last year of college, somebody told me about Audible, and somebody said, oh yeah, you sign up for this monthly thing and you get a book a month. And I thought, if I do that for 12 months and I just make sure I get the 12 best books ever written on human motivation, human psychology, development, relationships, business, finance, if I just focus on the 12 most important books ever written, I will have downloaded 12 books into my brain. I might not know them by heart, but I mean, about that same time, there was that Keanu Reeves movie where you could literally plug into his brain and you know, you could download information. That theme, I guess, has been repeated in movies, but I was like, that was like how it felt. It's like, I'm listening to this thing on 2 times speed. It's going into my brain. Like, you know, I just thought that was amazing. So that was back when I was like 23. And I've been listening to a book a month. Well, I'm turning 49 on Monday. I mean, how much stuff is in this brain, right? So how powerful is it if you can just do that? Like if you're always focused on, you know, growth and development and personal development. Also seek out mentors, experts, you know, people that have been there, right? Tony Robbins again, the way to expand our lives is to model the lives of those people who are already succeeding. Who do you know? Like if you're having a cash flow crunch, who do you know who solved that? If you're having a team development, my team doesn't communicate well and their structure is horrible. There's no accountability in the culture. Everybody's chaotic. If you're having that problem, who do you know who's had that and now their team is running like a well-oiled machine? By the way, if you see somebody whose team is running like a well-oiled machine, they were once in a chaotic mode. They didn't just get there, right? They had to do something intentional. So if you know that person, ask them to share with you how they got there. Mentor, get a mentor, you know, get a coach, you know, join a group, whatever, you know, like Vanessa was talking about. Like, I want to know how to use AI to more leverage systems and processes. There's a group out there for that. You know, find that person that's already done it. All right, moving a little fast through this stuff. Mindset and habits is number 4, to maximize your results. It's interesting. Oh, I totally skipped this one. Real quick, course correction. We need feedback, right? We need, we all have blind spots. You know, when you're looking in the mirror, you can only see what's right in the mirror. You need other people to show you like what's behind you, right? So get feedback, get measurements, use dashboards, use KPIs, use have an accountability partner, have people surrounding you that can point out where you need to course correct. Because if you're not, you're off track. It's just inevitable. We get off track. That's what we do. Because we're flawed people. We're flawed human beings. We're not perfect. So we need to course correct. And even like the old adage, you know, the NASA thing, right? A rocket to the moon spends only 7% of its time on the correct course. The rest of the time, it's like needing to adjust. But if we want to get to the moon, we gotta be paying attention and course correct. All right, back to mindset and habits. So what's interesting about mindset and habits, like this is a principle I've learned over the last couple of years, like having the best business principles, the best business strategy and tactics, the perfect financial tools, working out the numbers, right? If I said I need to make $1 million this year, what are the, and you break that down to, you know, go through your goal planning system. You break it down to, okay, what that means is I need to have 10 sales calls a day or 5 sales calls a day, you know, an average of 5 times a week to get that goal. The math, you can run it in a spreadsheet. The math is the math. It's just math. It's just numbers. It's so freaking simple. It's ridiculous. A robot, one of the great things about AI, one of the things I love about AI is I don't get writer's block anymore. I used to sit down and be like, oh, I got to type up these 3 paragraphs and sit there and stare at the screen forever because my humanness overthinks it. But if I say to AI, hey, I'm thinking about writing something about this, and it gets the flow going, right? And I'm like, oh, okay, now I've got some ideas because it doesn't think about, it doesn't have a mindset issue like I do. I'm like, oh, that's not going to matter. You know, I'm constantly second guessing myself, but the math and the numbers don't lie. I mean, a spreadsheet is a spreadsheet. I love spreadsheets. And who's my spreadsheet lovers out there? If I love them because they're certain, right? The number, it's just math. Math is one of my favorite things. The as important as the numbers are, and we have to run our business by numbers and metrics and measurement, right? KPIs. The mindset is like, I think Tony Robbins calls it 80% of the thing, right? But if you can get your mind right, which is a uphill battle and an everyday thing, we got to constantly pull the tug on the flywheel to keep the mindset right. When you get mindset plus math, it equals inevitability. Your goal achievement is inevitable because the numbers are what they are. Your mindset on top of that. You can have both of those things together, you're unstoppable. So here's some ways to be unstoppable in getting what you want. A gratitude journal, right? Ask yourself every day, what am I grateful for? I've got that built in again to my power journal. You know, the top of each page on the daily part is, you know, what am I thankful for? What am I grateful for? I ask, you know, that question like, you know, 100 different ways to get my brain around gratitude and appreciation. But if you can cultivate a positive mindset, right? Think of it like a garden. If you're having trouble staying positive, it's because you got weeds in your garden. And that takes some work. But the more you cultivate that mindset, the more easy it is to stay on track. I won't dive into to it too much, but there's so much psychology around, you know, the energy and the vibration that it requires to be positive versus negative. And over time, you know, if you don't cultivate this, you can go to really dark places. But if you keep maintaining the weeds, get the weeds out, you can stay positive. It's not rocket science, right? Tanya, you're a mindset master. Any comments there?
It's I think it's basically like what I've told my clients for years is like your thoughts can be your biggest asset or your biggest liability. The difference between what you want and where you're at is really in what's between your ears. Like it's all about our thoughts because it's the filter that we see life through. And like, you know, like Scott shared, we went through a really hard time and we had to do a lot of mindset work because we went from the top. We had everything that you think you want, like on paper and like in person. And we even had a white picket fence out front of our, you know, huge house. And then it came crashing down. And it was actually, it could have destroyed us. You know, it could have destroyed our marriage. It could have destroyed our willpower. Like, you know, it was really humbling. And we had to work on our thoughts. That was the biggest thing we had to work on and making sure that we reframe that. And I looked at that time that was terrible as a gift because it taught us so much and we are more resilient because of it. We've, you know, that's like why we started Awaken Life. We didn't have work-life balance back then. We were all about work, 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 play, work harder, play harder. And then we, you're throwing kids into the mix, and we're like, this is really tough to do because we do have 3 children. At the time that this happened, I was pregnant with our second. And just reframing that and reframing the filter review everything through. So if your thoughts are, if your thoughts are not serving you, I would challenge you to take some time, especially in the morning before you start your day, of checking that and checking the filter, you view your life through, and like making sure that you're adjusting that. It's like a muscle, and you have to keep practicing. Just like if you're working out, you work out your mind, but it is your biggest asset or your biggest liability. And like the things that Scott says, the journal that he designed is like perfect for going through that, because there's a lot to that. It's not just your typical write down everything you have to do for the day. It's actually doing the mindset work too. So.
Awesome. All right. Well, let's, I'm over on my agenda for the presentation piece. I want to do some more group activity stuff. So let me wrap up pretty quick here. The last couple of things is, again, with the idea of it's just mindset and math equals inevitability. What you want to do then is get the math down to the daily habits. We touched on this before with that strategic planning pyramid. But if you can just identify, okay, what are the things, the few things that I need to do every day, and just check the box. Did I get it done? Did I get it done every day? The compound effect of that one action every day over time will make that result inevitable. If you, again, AI doesn't have to think about it, doesn't have a mindset, it just does, right? So if we can kind of maybe adopt some of that idea and just be like, okay, if I just can believe that by doing this, it will, add up to the result. Just getting your head around that, it can be helpful, right? And then, managing some of that imposter syndrome or whatever is holding you back, identifying those thoughts, capturing every thought, and turning it into from, negative to positive. It's BS either way, right? If it's a negative thought, it's BS. So if you can change that to a positive thought that might feel like BS, but it's going to serve you better, eventually it won't feel like BS anymore. Either way, BS means belief system, right? Whatever your belief system is, you're right. All right. So overcoming obstacles. I mean, as entrepreneurs, some people are newer entrepreneurs. Some people have been in business a long time. We all know that nobody's going to be surprised when it's like, oh, it's a challenging week this week. Like, oh yeah, that's the job, right? We overcome challenges. We get a challenge a week. We get a challenge a day. We're going to have obstacles. How big of a problem is that for you? Depends on how big of a challenge, overcoming muscle you've built, right? It's not about whether you're going to have challenges or not. It's about, do you overcome them, right? So anticipate that you're going to have them. We all have them. We all have stories like Tanya shared. We all have those stories that are like, man, I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy, but I also wouldn't change it because it made me who I am today. But it was a hard time. So when you get the challenges, embrace it as an opportunity for growth and learning. Because if you think about it, the biggest challenges you've had, that you've been able to move through, that's become a gift in a way, right? It's a place where you get to serve other people. When other people have that experience, you're like, oh, I've been through that. I can feel that pain. I can empathize with where you're at, but let me tell you how I got over it. Let me share you my story. And that can encourage somebody. I mean, at the end of the day, when we get to the end of life, there's that study. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but they interviewed people at the end of their life, and what was their biggest regret? Every one of them, it's like, okay, I should have spent more time in my relationships. And none of them said, I should have tried to make more money. I should have grew the business bigger. It was all about spending more time in the relationships. And so at the end of the day, what's going to create fulfillment? Like one of those 4 pillars is relationships. Give yourself the freedom to give more to those relationships that make life that quality. And then I'll say it again. We said it earlier, but surrounding yourself with a support system. We're here experiencing what I call a miniForum. Thank you for attending the miniForum. This is a taste of what. I mean, imagine if we met together every couple weeks or at least once a month. with a group of like-minded people like this. We're all kind of like rowing in the same direction. We've got the same philosophy, the same mindset. We're like, okay, we're taking on the challenges of the world, and we're doing it in community. Okay, what's going on with you? What are your challenges? How can I help? Oh, I've been there. You know, just having that support system is such a key thing, and it brings that accountability that we talked about earlier. So here's the conclusion. So maximizing results, or even doubling your results, or even like sometimes like Grant Cardone says 10x your results, you can do amazing things in 90 days, and it's very achievable. I would argue inevitable when you apply some of the principles we talked about today. Strategically planning towards a vision, focusing on the critical few or even the one thing, becoming obsessed and continually learning and improving, and nurturing that positive mindset and developing those productive habits, you can unlock the full potential of in any area. I mean, you could have your focus be in business, it could be in health, it could be in finances, it could be in relationships, but this brings you greater peace and joy. Just I want you to feel it for a moment. Like if you imagine whatever you wrote down as like the big thing that you want to do this quarter or this year, when you achieve that, feel that. Like does it bring greater peace? Does it bring greater joy? If it does, then it's absolutely worth going for. You know, don't let anything hold you back. And it's just about consistent action and persistent, right? Persistence and action are the key. So surround yourself with the right people, the right community, the right accountability. And I just want to encourage you to take what we covered here today and just start like taking action. What's one thing you can do today from this? Because if you showed up today and you don't take any action, you know, what's the point, right? So what's one thing you can do today or this next week that you can apply from something that you got, you know, on your notes there today? And think about how much more freedom in your life would that give you? You know, how much more time for your family will that give you? And, you know, would it bring more love into your life? Would it allow you to have a greater impact on the people or the situations that you feel called to? You know, who wants to take this and run with it? Who's gonna be champions with me? We're gonna accomplish great things.
Hey, real quick too, Scott, if anybody's looking to network a little more, Jake dropped a link in the chat too. So just you know, to highlight that, Jake's got an invitation for any of us that want to network a little bit more.
Awesome, thanks, Jake. All right. So so here's the thing. I mean, to make it easier, this is part of it, right? We're going to go into a group exercise in a second, but I want to give you something more that you can do. Like if this miniForum today experience, this group session today is part one, the next step, part two, is to get practical application to your business, to your life. You know, let's finish this work together. I just want to give you an opportunity. You can have a business freedom consult, right? So here's how I'll propose this. Like we wrote this book, The 7 Critical Systems to Scale and Unlock Freedom, and in it are, you know, there's the 7 critical systems: strategic vision and planning. We talked about that today. Financial management. If you're struggling with something on the finances or the financial piece, if you need funding, if there's a roadblock there. Marketing and sales, if that's a challenge. Operations and efficiency. HR and team management. By the way, shout out to Melanie if you're still with us, HR expert, I would recommend. Customer relationship management, leadership, and personal development. If you're struggling with any of these systems, basically what we want to do is read that book. That's what the book's about. It unpacks all those critical systems, but you got to have these critical systems. If you're lacking in any one of these, then it's going to kind of hold you back. I want you to have freedom. That's why we call it Business Freedom Consult. And then we'll make the steps. We'll create the steps for you personally, for your business, for your life. So this book kind of introduces the ideas, and so here's the deal. Schedule your session. Go to consult.freedomforum.biz. PJ, maybe you could put that in the chat. Consult.freedomforum.biz. You'll go to a calendar link. I don't know if it's going to be me or Tanya or Brian, but you'll get scheduled with one of our coaches. read the ebook. You'll get the ebook download right away. So schedule a session, the ebook will come to you. So you'll read the book. It's a quick read. You can do it in one sitting. And then we'll take the 7 critical systems. We'll look at, okay, where's the big opportunity, and we'll apply it to your business plan. That's kind of the rest of the miniForum. So we got a piece of it today, kind of mindset wise, and then let's make it practical and applicable to you. So you can do that there. All right. We're going to go into an exercise here, and I want to again demonstrate what it's like to be in a mastermind group, in a forum where business owners are helping each other. So somebody gets to be in the hot seat, and this is a very it's kind of a scary place to be, but I promise you, if you're brave enough to be vulnerable and have the rest of us kind of like, looking at you and saying, hey, blind spot alert, right? You got a blind spot here. Do you see that? You're missing something. And it's not going to be that painful. It's very nurturing and very helpful. But somebody's going to be in the hot seat. So just putting that out there. Here's what we're going to do. This is one of the assessment tools. I mentioned we have the trimetric tracking method. We use different assessments. This is just one of the assessments that we use to kind of track how our client is growing and performing as a CEO. So most of you aren't CEOs. Most of you are entrepreneur, business owner. But I promise you, if you start to think like a CEO, here's the deal. If you never think like a CEO, you're never going to become one, right? So you got to start thinking like a CEO if you're going to have a business that can run like with autonomy, that can run without you, that you could literally have a business that is fun to own. Because a business that is somebody would want to buy from you, a business that somebody would say, hey, I'll give you a couple $1 million for that business if you want me to take it off your hands. A business that's attractive like that is also very fun to own. It gives you freedom. A business that somebody would want to buy is a business you would want to keep. So whether you plan to sell your business someday or keep it forever, it's the same stuff, and it's located here. You got to be the leader that creates that business. This is what this assessment's about. So we have if you will send again, we have an assessment tool. It takes like 15 minutes. We're not going to do that right now, to fill out 10 or 15 minutes to fill out. I'll ask you a bunch of questions, and it will scientifically scale your results on a 0 to 10 scale. I'll plot a little chart here. If you'll send an email to team@awakenedlife.com, PJ, go ahead again, put that in there in the chat. Just send an email to team@awakenedlife.com and say, send me the CEO assessment. We'll get you the link for that. It's free. But for now, what we're going to do is a little exercise. So I want you to at least ballpark it. We can do the scientific part later, but right now you can kind of have a gut level. You can say, okay, when it comes to putting on that CEO hat and thinking at a higher level as a business leader, right? The business follows the business leader. It doesn't go the other way around. That doesn't work. You got to become the leader. So what is the area? Culture, leadership, strategy, vision, product or service, marketing, sales, tech, financial, operations, customer service, team. So think about what is, again, we talked about the principle of narrowing it down to the critical few, or maybe just the one thing. What's the one thing on this list that stands out to you? There's 12 things. So narrow it down to one, maybe two, that you're like, gosh, if I had a breakthrough in this area, it would, in fact, as we were talking about the 90-day goals and the year goals, I realized that the one thing that's holding me back is this area. So I want you to identify where's the challenge, and we're going to leverage the power of the mastermind of this group. Whenever you gather a group of thought leaders, business owners, people who have had experience together in a virtual room like this, the power of the mastermind is at work. There's wisdom and experience and insight this is an opportunity. So it's a little scary to be in the hot seat, but it's also a gigantic opportunity. And I promise you, if you take me up on this, you will not regret it. I've only had people that have said that was the best thing I've ever done when I've done this miniForum with people. Okay. So without great risk, you can't have the great reward. That's business, right? All right. So who has the
Jake's
one?
volunteering, Scott.
Jake is my man. All right.
Jake.
I want to just see, is there anybody else besides Jake that is like, I would like to be in the hot seat. I don't want to eliminate people. We probably only have time for one. We might be able to do two, but if there's anybody else besides Jake, who else do we got?
I would.
Roger. Okay.
Steve and Vanessa both said they would
Okay.
too.
All right, so let's keep track. And I promise, guys, we'll get there. We'll get there with you, whether we can do it today or not. All right, so Brian, you're my facilitator here. Did you say Steve's, or was it Jake?
Jake popped in first. Steve and Vanessa both did as well.
Okay. All right. So I know the other
And I
people
think
who raised their
Roger,
hand.
did you too?
Yeah, Roger did. Mm-hmm.
I think Roger audibly did. Yeah. So.
Okay, so I know Jake the least. Jake, you look familiar. Where have we met?
I was I'm trying to remember the guys. There was a different networking, virtual network that we met at. And I believe we were going to do a one-on-one afterwards, but we had to reschedule and we never actually got it in the books.
All right, cool. Well, let's course correct that. But for now, you're in the hot seat, buddy. Are you ready? We're ready to buckle up here. We're gonna turn up the heat on you. Hopefully your air conditioner is working.
Well, it's snowing outside, so I should just open a window.
Crack a window. There you go. All right, so let me pull up a little thing here. Where did my Zoom go? All right, so I want to show you a little bit of process. So thank you, Jake, for volunteering to be in the hot seat. What I want the rest of you to do is pay attention to, again, if you've never been in a mastermind group, this is going to be interesting, to say the least. It might be a new experience. It might be eye-opening. That's just what I hear over and over again, testimonials. Okay, so we're going to do this process. We're going to take, actually, I'm a little short on time, so let me move to a shorter version. There's a 15-minute one. All right, so we're going to do, you're going to present your issue or what's the challenge. We're going to give you 3 minutes. I'm going to time every piece of this. We're going to let the group ask questions, clarifying and challenging questions. When you ask questions, group, be careful not to give advice. Like, have you tried, advice is not a question. That's advice. What have you tried is a question. Do you do this or do that is a question, right? Clarifying and challenging questions. And then what's funny, Jacob, we're going to have you turn off your camera and mute for about 6 minutes, and we're just going to talk about you like you're not here. We know you're here, but you get to kind of be a fly on the wall, and we'll just pretend that we don't know you're here, and we'll talk about you. So it's kind of like you're listening to gossip, right? And you're going to take some notes, and hopefully you'll get some insights that'll be helpful to you, and then you'll have a couple minutes to share your takeaways. All right, does that make sense? Any questions, Jake?
No, sounds good.
All right, so what's the one thing out of those 12 things, the one category that you identified that is your breakthrough area?
Yeah, so the breakthrough area would definitely be sales. Right now, we started a company that Mingle is our tech startup. We've got about 1,200 users, and we're getting users on the application, but it's just not turning into hosts. So the conversion to sell and have hosts actually host events, which would be a tremendous breakthrough if we were able to get that accomplished, and then we probably would have funding and just move forward and get bigger and bigger. So that's the big challenge we're facing currently.
Okay, so what's the big goal, the big thing that if you get it, everything else falls into place? What would you call that?
If we just show revenue, like if we're still kind of pre-revenue. Most of I think we've had like one subscription, but most of our subscriptions are in-house. So if we actually start getting some revenue, and it wouldn't even have to be much, it could be 1,000 ARR, and that would show that we're getting the progress that we need, and then we could duplicate that.
Okay, so like 1,000 a month, great job being specific on revenue, would be like, that's how you know you've accomplished this big thing, right?
Yeah, for now.
All right, cool. And so what, identify what you think the biggest challenge is, the thing that's holding you back the most, if you had to, narrow it down to one thing.
It's getting people to feel comfortable hosting an event on a new application.
Okay. Okay. And what is holding people from being comfortable hosting an event on the new application?
Well, I think, and this is just speculation, I haven't fully figured it out or vetted it, but I believe it, when you're hosting an event, it's already kind of nerve-wracking.
Mhm.
If you add software that you're not familiar with on top of that, it becomes unbearable.
Mhm.
And so you're not willing to just jump in and create, right? Like, because you're too scared to, you don't have the confidence level to move forward with that.
Okay, so lacking confidence. All right, so what have you tried so far? Why does it feel stuck? What's been tried and not working?
We've tried hiring hiring influencers to actually throw events, and we've actually paid them to throw events. That's been the
Wow.
only successful portion.
Mhm.
But then they do a couple and then they just stop doing them.
Mhm.
Then we've also just encouraged friends to try and throw events. Our business, our contacts have been contacted. Well, our current users have been contacted, and we try to push them along. But it's mainly just email and drip marketing. It hasn't been a lot of a lot a lot of hand holding like we did with the influencers. For the influencers, I actually had to hold their hand, show them how to use the process, and go through I think it was about 3 hours per, which is fine. That's not scalable, but as soon as we get people learning the process, then it's like, okay, now I got it.
Okay, cool. So we're out of time for you presenting. Now we're going into asking clarifying questions and challenging questions. Who has a question? Just use your virtual hand raiser and we'll Brian, you can facilitate that. Go ahead, Vanessa.
Trying to think about how Mingle compares to Zoom, Google Meet, those things. So how is it different? What sets it apart? Because
question.
I'm thinking when you start talking about Mingle, I'm thinking about Zoom and Google Meet.
Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great question. So the difference between Zoom and Meet and Teams is that we have this click to cluster technology that duplicates the three-dimensional world. So you walk into a venue and you can see other people. I could click on you, Vanessa, and then you and I could cluster, and everybody else could see that we're clustered, and they could join us or they could jump into their own clusters. So it allows for that real world networking. And then in the other broadcasting portion, so like right now, you would raise your hand and we'd call on you, and nobody would have to manually put you up here. It would actually put you up here so that everybody could hear and see you, and then it could send you back down into the audience. And then
Cool.
after the event, when the host leaves, so if the host leave this event, it shuts down. Mingle actually stays open so that you can do that very, very important after a network event mingling that you would normally do in person, but you can't really do in virtual events.
Mike
Next
Stewart.
question.
So, hey, Jake, so have you circled back to those that have hosted an event and found out what worked and what didn't, what worked and what didn't work for them, and maybe why they stopped?
Yeah, we've gotten a few of them, but the majority of them that actually hosted were paid. So what didn't work for them in the future was I'm not getting paid to do more. So it was like, okay, well, it was a good learning. It was a good learning experience, but yeah, we have very few that have organically created an event and run with it.
Okay.
Yeah, kind of a similar question I have, Jake, to what Mike said. Have you heard objections, or have you heard concerns from prospects?
No, this seems to be, so we launched in September, and then we started running and just started trying to get as many users on as possible, right? So that became the goal. And we got users on, and it's like when none of these are converting to events. So then it became, okay, now what's going on here? So we haven't completely dove into this problem yet. So it's a lot of speculation at the moment.
All right. Sandra has one, and then Paula, go after Sandra.
And then we'll be done after that.
Okay, my question is, have you considered, because it sounds to me like your event hosts who would not be paid, they'd be bringing their own event. The hosts are not confident in their own skill, plus they have to handle some technology logistics, I guess. Have you had an experienced event host coaching the one that needs to be doing the event? I guess that would be the same thing. So it's very easy to become a co-coach, if you will, or a co-event.
That's great, Sandra.
holder.
That's the question. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, no, great question. We are vetting one right now where we're planning on running a training session, and people that are interested in hosting, we're going to give them a seat to that training session, so that way they can actually learn from somebody who is an extremely good host. And has hosted many events, but even that host, we haven't got him to go on and do a virtual event yet. So it's in its infancy with him.
Okay, so we are out of time for the question times. We're going to go into listening to the gossip and taking notes. So, Jake, if you would mute and turn off your camera, we're going to pretend like you're not here. But we're going to have about 5 minutes to talk about Jake behind his back, and we'll start with the hand raises. So, Paula, what's just your thought? What's your comment?
So, just coming to it from a marketing perspective, I'm curious how many of the 1,200 users that came to those events actually actively run events through other channels, either in person or online. And then why they would do it through the platform as opposed to what they're already doing.
Good thought.
Suzanne as well had her hand up. Suzanne.
Yeah, I actually wanted to ask a question about what work had been done to identify the true target market. That was something that kind of bedeviled me when I got started. And there's that fine line between getting really specific and so specific that you actually have too much of a niche, or being really scattershot. And I was just wondering if maybe there hadn't been some work done to really identify the true market for the product.
Yeah, good thought.
Rick Wickheiser.
Yeah, I run a sales agency, and the thing that I run into and I'm curious about is where are the friction points? I mean, those who use Teams and use Zoom, they're very comfortable with those platforms. And so what is there a way to break the friction, make it more intuitive, have a tutorial so that they can kind of easily move from one platform to the next, making it easy, breaking that friction?
Yeah, did anybody catch? So here we are on a Zoom call, and we're kind of doing what he described, but it sounds like what he describes is more automated. I've got a team here helping me doing what it sounds like his system would make it easier. What's the price difference? Did anybody catch that from Zoom to Mingle?
Well, I think he was saying he wanted $1,000 a month subscribers, and maybe that's because it's setting it up to be a regular user.
Right, that was his total goal, but what was the per user cost? Did anybody catch that?
I don't think he actually I don't think he actually shared what the per user cost was. And I have attended events on similar platforms that are hosted by, typically when I've attended those kind of events, it's people who host live networking events, especially over COVID, and we're looking to replicate that sort of in the room experience. And often that's exactly, you've nailed it, Scott. The event hosts are looking for a cost or a subscription fee that's too high in order to get people on the platform. And so they kind of check it out and they're interested, but Zoom does a good enough job. And so it's almost like solving a problem that doesn't need solved.
Jeremy, what do you have to add?
Jeremy, you got the last comment. Go ahead.
Yes. So,
There you go.
yes, I'll go ahead now. So, what I have to add is just going to the fundamentals of research, of market research, to make sure that the problems that you're facing are not coming from some incorrect fundamental assumptions. And so that's basically it, is that just to confirm, to if you have not done so, is to do more research to understand your target market and your ideal customer. That's what I have to add.
Awesome. All right, Jake, come back to us. Turn on your camera, unmute, and just love to hear. Hopefully you were able to take some notes. Like, what were your takeaways? What actions are you inspired to do out of this?
Yeah, I really like the surveying current users to see who's actually currently running events, even if it's physical or virtual, just to see what that's going for. Very often I wonder if we do have too broad of a target market. And it's something that we need to kind of narrow down quite a bit. And I believe we've identified most of our friction points, and we're breaking those, at least the ones that we can, without extreme development costs. But there are a couple that are still there, and we need to we have solutions for them. We just haven't put them in place yet. Pricing difference, we're very comparable to Zoom, and not Meets because it's free basically, but we are comparable to Zoom. Then the product market fit, or the problem worth solving question, is always a great question for an app. You never really know if you're actually solving a problem that people want solved, right? Or if it's painful enough to solve. And that's kind of where we are in the question. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe we're just not solving a big enough problem or painful enough one.
Yeah, it sounds awesome. I know I'm intrigued. I think you already put your information in, but maybe put it in again. Like, if there's anybody like me who's interested in giving your product a try, go ahead and give us a link there in the chat if you don't mind.
And actually, I am gonna just open up a room right after this. This bit.ly link will take you right to that room, and so we can just work right after.
Cool. All right, well, that is our time for the hot seat. We do have a few minutes just to share takeaways and like, what did you get out of this? What was insightful? What was surprising? And I think I have it on the screen again, consult.freedomforum.biz. If you want to continue the discussion and plug into our community and stay informed, you can send team@awakenlife.com. Let's schedule a call, get the ebook. But with that, let me get, we have a couple minutes, so let me get some takeaways. Who's got a takeaway or a thought they want to share about our experience today? Sandra?
This has been an amazing experience of a mini mastermind. I know that the part where you got into the work of it was where the actual masterminding happened. And so I really want to give you kudos for bringing people together. It was great.
Suzanne? Suzanne, you're muted there.
Oh, sorry, I didn't quite hear my name. Yeah, I was actually a little skeptical when I first came that I would get much out of this, and I'm pleasantly surprised. And I'm actually motivated now about some new ideas for things I'm going to try for my company. So thank you so much for this amazing session. Thank you. That's the greatest compliment. I appreciate that. Vanessa?
Yeah, thank you so much. I feel like you have a way to connect people like-minded together in one big space. It takes work to get even this many people to keep our attention for an hour and a half. So kudos, you're showing what you're preaching and what you're doing. You're walking the walk and talking the talk. And the fact that you've got your wife Tanya on there with you, like family support. I mean, it's just everything in alignment with the way I would want business to be going. So yeah, thank you. And the hot seat thing, I think is always the best way when you can just put someone in there and model what you're doing. that's the best. Instead of just talking about it, the hot seat is showing us. So
Mhm.
thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Jake and then Mike.
Sorry, I was looking for my mute button. I really liked how you have some helpers on the back end watching the chat, and that encourages people to chat even more. So it's interesting because you are solving a problem that we're trying to solve, but with a manual process. And it kind of alleviates a bit of the problem. I feel more connected to the people here than I do at most networking events.
Oh, good, good. Glad to hear that. Mike, you got the last word. We're out of time after your comments, so go ahead.
Yeah, it's just the reminder to keep the alignment of, the alignment of your purpose with your strategic vision and planning. So that
Yeah.
you're not getting distracted with all the things that are happening in your business, but you're actually staying in alignment with what you want to achieve.
Well, good. I'm so thankful to see a lot of familiar faces and people I haven't talked to for a while, and people I'll be following up with, and we're getting connected. So appreciate the community here, the community environment. Just know that the world is kind of against us, right? So we got to bond together. We got to come together. We got to support each other. And so keep the community thing going. Keep showing up to these events, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, Scott. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.
EJ, nice work. Thanks, buddy. Thanks, Brian. I'm not hearing you. Are you talking?
There you go. Yeah, probably we can go ahead and do a debrief, or we can stop the recording for now.
Yep. Okay, cool.
Or we can go ahead and stay here. Let me just